The universe was vast, filled with stars and planets, but it was the Galactic Empire that ruled over them all. Their ships soared through space, sleek and powerful, equipped with technology that was far beyond anything humanity could imagine. The Empire was a force to be reckoned with, a cold and calculating power that had conquered countless worlds. They held a reputation for their ruthless efficiency, leaving no room for failure or mercy. From their imposing flagship, the Imperial Nexus, they commanded armies of robots and advanced AI systems, maintaining control over their sprawling territories. But on Earth, things were different. Humanity was on the edge of extinction, barely holding on against the might of the Empire. People lived in fear, haunted by the memories of battles lost and cities destroyed. Resources were scarce, and hope was dwindling. Yet in the shadows of this despair, a spark of defiance began to flicker. Major Alex Bonner stood at the window of a small command room in an underground base, gazing out at the night sky. The stars twinkled above, distant and indifferent. He was a soldier, battle-hardened and weary, but filled with a fierce determination. Around him, a small group of soldiers prepared for a mission that could change everything. Bonner's team was made up of some of the best and brightest, each with their own reasons for fighting. There was Sarah, a brilliant engineer with a sharp mind, and Jake, a former pilot with unmatched skills in the cockpit. They all shared one common goal: to free humanity from the Empire's grasp. As Bonner reviewed the mission plans, he couldn't shake the feeling of dread that loomed over them. The Empire had sent their elite forces to Earth, and they were planning to crush any resistance once and for all. The weight of this impending attack pressed heavily on Bonner's shoulders. He knew the odds were stacked against them, but there was something about the fire in his team's eyes that gave him hope. "Listen up, everyone," Bonner said, raising his voice to rally his team. "I know things look bleak. We've lost friends and family to the Empire's brutality, but we have a chance to hit back, to show them we're not just victims. We're fighters!" His words ignited a spark of courage in the room. The soldiers nodded, their expressions turning from fear to resolve. Just as the tension began to lift, the alarms blared throughout the base, shattering the moment of unity. A red light flashed, illuminating the room with urgency. Bonner's heart raced as he rushed to the control panel, where a technician frantically worked to assess the situation. "They're coming!" the technician shouted. Scanners detect multiple enemy ships entering Earth's atmosphere. "They're launching a surprise attack!" Bonner's heart sank. He knew that time was running out. "Get everyone to their posts," he ordered. "We need to prepare for battle." As the soldiers moved quickly, Bonner felt a surge of adrenaline. They had trained for this moment, but nothing could prepare them for the reality of war. The fear of failure clawed at him, but he pushed it aside. This was their home, and they would fight for it. The atmosphere was electric with tension as the sound of distant explosions echoed through the base. The ground shook beneath their feet, a reminder of the Empire's overwhelming power. But Bonner refused to back down. "Stay focused. We can't let them break our spirit," he shouted, urging his team onward. As they armed themselves and took their positions, Bonner glanced out the window once more. He saw the dark shapes of enemy ships filling the sky, and his resolve hardened. Humanity was not going to be defeated without a fight. They had come too far, lost too much, and there was no turning back now. In that moment, Bonner understood the true nature of courage. It was not the absence of fear, but the determination to stand up despite it. He looked at his team, their faces set with determination, and knew they would give everything to protect their world. The storm was coming, but they would meet it head-on. The fate of humanity hung in the balance, and Bonner was ready to lead his team into battle. This was the calm before the storm, a brief moment of stillness before the chaos erupted. And in that stillness, a fire was lit, a fire that would drive them forward, united against the darkness of the Galactic Empire. The attack on Earth was brutal, and Major Bonner's team had fought hard to hold their ground. In the aftermath, the base was a scene of destruction, but amidst the rubble, hope began to flicker. Bonner knew they could not win this war alone. They needed allies. It was time to reach out to others who still dared to resist the Galactic Empire. Bonner gathered his team in the command room where the walls were marked with battle plans and maps. The air was thick with tension, but determination filled the room. "We have to unite the different factions of humanity," he declared. "We can't fight the Empire on our own. We need to show everyone that together we are stronger." Jake, the former pilot, leaned forward. But who can we trust? The Empire has been picking us off one by one. Many groups are scared, hiding, or even working with the enemy. It won't be easy to convince them to join us. Sarah, the engineer, nodded. We have to find those who still believe in fighting back. Maybe we can reach out to the resistance fighters in the wastelands. They've been battling the Empire for years. Bonner agreed. We'll start there. If anyone knows how to strike back, it's them. Gather supplies and prepare for a journey. We leave at dawn. As the sun rose the next day, the team set out on their mission. The journey took them through the ruins of once great cities, now shadows of their former glory. They drove their rugged vehicle over cracked roads, passing by remnants of buildings that had crumbled under the Empire's relentless attacks. Each site was a reminder of what they were fighting for. After hours of travel, they reached the outskirts of the wastelands. The air was thick with dust, and the sun hung low in the sky. The team parked their vehicle and approached a small settlement where signs of life flickered. The resistance had created a makeshift camp, filled with tents and campfires, but it was clear that resources were running low. Bonner stepped forward, his heart racing. He was aware that many had lost faith in humanity's ability to fight back. He raised his voice to address the gathered fighters. We are here to ask for your help. The Galactic Empire is stronger than ever, and they plan to wipe us out. But together we can stand against them. Together we can fight for our future. At first there was silence. The fighters exchanged wary glances. A tall woman with fierce eyes stepped forward. Why should we trust you? You're just another group looking for glory. We fought hard and lost too much already. Bonner took a deep breath. I understand your pain. We have all lost loved ones to this war. But this isn't just about us. It's about humanity. If we don't unite now, we will all fall. I'm asking you to put aside your doubts and join us. We have a chance to change the tide. The woman studied Bonner, her expression unreadable. After a long pause, she spoke again. I'm Commander Alara. I've seen too many die for this cause, and it takes more than words to convince me. Show us that you are willing to fight, and then we will consider joining you. Bonner nodded, knowing this was his chance to prove their worth. Then let's train together. Let's show you what we can do. Over the next few days, the team worked alongside the resistance fighters, sharing knowledge and strategies. They trained hard, running drills and honing their combat skills. Bonner was amazed by the resilience of these fighters. They were a mix of ages and backgrounds, all united by the desire to reclaim their world. As the training progressed, trust began to build. Ilara watched Bonner and his team push themselves, fighting alongside her people. They shared stories of loss and hope around the campfires at night. The laughter and camaraderie slowly broke down the walls of distrust. One evening, as they sat together, Bonner spoke about their recent battle against the Empire. We lost friends, but their sacrifice fuels our fight. We fight not just for revenge, but for a future where we can live without fear. The smoke began to clear, revealing the battlefield once more. The remnants of the Galactic Empire's fleet were scattered across the skies and the ground. Captain Bonner stood amidst the debris, catching his breath. He looked around at his team, their faces a mix of exhaustion and relief. They had fought hard, and against all odds, they had won. Is everyone okay? Bonner called out, scanning the faces of his soldiers. They nodded, some still catching their breath, while others were busy tending to the injured. There were no words to describe the bond they had formed during this battle, and the sense of camaraderie was palpable. They had fought side by side, and together they had overcome an enemy that seemed unbeatable. Bonner's thoughts turned to the civilians they had rescued. He knew they needed to check on them. Let's make sure everyone is safe, he ordered, rallying his team once more. They moved swiftly through the wreckage, helping those in need and ensuring that everyone was accounted for. The civilians were shaken but grateful, their eyes wide with a mix of fear and admiration for the soldiers who had risked everything to save them. As they approached the makeshift camp where the civilians had gathered, Bonner spotted a young boy, no more than 10 years old, standing alone. The boy's eyes were filled with tears as he looked up at Bonner. You saved us, he said, his voice trembling. Are we safe now? Bonner knelt down to the boy's level, his heart heavy with emotion. Yes, we're safe. You don't have to worry anymore. The bad aliens are gone, he reassured the boy with a warm smile. The boy's face lit up and he threw his arms around Bonner. It was a simple gesture, but it meant everything. In that moment, Bonner realized that their victory was not just about defeating the enemy, it was about protecting the future, the lives of children like this boy. After ensuring the civilians were cared for, Bonner gathered his team. They stood together, looking out at the remnants of the battlefield. The debris from the alien ships littered the ground, but there was a sense of calm that filled the air. They had faced the darkness, and now they had a chance to rebuild. Today, we showed the universe what humanity is capable of, Bonner said, his voice steady and filled with pride. We stood up against a powerful enemy and we didn't back down. We fought for our home, for our families, and for each other. His words resonated with everyone, and a sense of unity washed over them. But Bonner also knew that this victory came with a price. They had lost friends and comrades in the battle. He thought of those who had given their lives for this cause. We must honor those who fought alongside us. We owe it to them to keep fighting for a better future, he said, his voice filled with determination. As the sun began to set, casting a golden light across the battlefield, Bonner and his team set to work. They began to clear the debris and help rebuild their camp. They worked tirelessly, knowing that their actions would pave the way for a new beginning. In the following days, news of their victory spread throughout the galaxy. Other planets began to reach out, offering their support and gratitude. They recognized the courage of humanity and the strength that lay within them. Allies were formed, and together they would stand against any future threats. The Galactic Empire, once seen as invincible, was now in retreat. Other alien civilizations began to question their power and dominance. They saw that humanity, once underestimated, was now a force to be reckoned with. Bonner and his team had opened the eyes of the galaxy to the strength of the human spirit. As time passed, Bonner often reflected on that day. He remembered the boys' tears and the laughter of the civilians as they celebrated their freedom. They had turned fear into hope, and that was the true victory. Bonner knew that they had not only saved their planet, but also inspired others to stand up against oppression. The battle was won, but Bonner understood that their journey was just beginning. They had to remain vigilant and ready to defend their home at a moment's notice. He looked at his team, now more than just soldiers. They were family, bound together by a shared purpose. Whatever comes next, we will face it together, Bonner said, his voice filled with resolve. His team cheered, their spirits high. They had faced the darkness and emerged victorious, and they were ready to take on whatever challenges lay ahead. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear. Humanity would stand strong, united in the face of any threat. With hope in their hearts and determination in their souls, they looked to the stars, ready to carve out their destiny in the universe. Together, they would write a new chapter in human history, one filled with bravery, resilience, and the unyielding spirit of a people who refused to be conquered. Caromini. They charged forward, fighting against the chaos. The sounds of gunfire filled the air, and Bonner felt the rush of battle all around him. He could see his allies fighting bravely, standing strong against the Empire's forces. In the midst of the fight, Bonner spotted Alara leading her team with fierce determination. She was everywhere, taking down enemies with precision and skill. Her leadership inspired the others, rallying them to push through the chaos. But then Bonner noticed a squad of Empire soldiers advancing toward them, weapons raised. Panic surged through him. "We need cover!" he shouted, and they ducked behind the wreckage of one of the destroyed trucks. "Hold on!" Sarah yelled, adjusting her aim. With a steady hand, she fired at the approaching soldiers, hitting one and causing the others to take cover. Bonner felt a surge of pride for his team. They were fighting not just for survival, but for a chance to reclaim their future. As the battle raged on, Bonner realized they were turning the tide. The Empire was not invincible. They could be beaten. The determination and courage of his team fueled his spirit. They were no longer just survivors. They were fighters, united against a common enemy. The fight continued, each moment filled with intensity and purpose. The explosion had created a ripple in the Empire's strength, and Bonner knew that this night would be remembered as a turning point in their struggle. Together, they would show the Galactic Empire that humanity was far from defeated. As the last of the supply trucks burned, Bonner raised his weapon high. "This is just the beginning," he shouted. "We will fight and we will win!" With renewed resolve, they prepared for the next battle, ready to face whatever came next. The storm was rising, and together they would meet it head-on. The night of the supply depot attack had transformed everything. Bonner and his team returned to the resistance camp, battered but victorious. They had proven to themselves and to others that they could stand up against the Galactic Empire. The mood was electric. Everyone was buzzing with excitement and adrenaline. As they entered the camp, Bonner felt a surge of pride. He had led a successful mission, and their alliance was growing stronger. Soldiers and resistance fighters surrounded him, eager to hear the details of the raid. "Bonner, you did it! We saw the explosion from miles away," shouted Jake, his eyes shining with enthusiasm. "What's next?" Bonner smiled, feeling the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. "We need to capitalize on this victory. We can't stop now. The Empire will come for us, but we can use this momentum to rally more fighters to our cause." Elara stepped forward, her expression serious. "Many factions are still hiding or too scared to join. We need to show them that the Empire can be defeated. If we can convince them to unite, we can turn the tide of this war." Bonner nodded, knowing Elara was right. "Let's send out messengers to all the resistance groups we can reach. We need to tell them about our victory and invite them to join us. We have to be loud and clear. We are not afraid anymore." The next day, Bonner and his team worked tirelessly. They crafted messages that told of their battle, their success, and the need for unity. They sent messengers out to every corner of the wasteland, spreading the word about their fight against the Empire. As the sun set, Bonner gathered everyone around a large fire. The flames danced in the cool night air, and the tension from the previous days faded into a sense of hope. "Listen up, everyone!" Bonner called out, his voice strong. "Tonight we celebrate our victory, but we also prepare for the challenges ahead. We need to show the Empire that we are growing stronger." Cheers erupted from the crowd. Resistance fighters were ready to fight. They had witnessed Bonner's leadership, and they believed in the cause. A few days later, messengers returned, bringing good news. More groups had heard of the attack and were willing to join the fight. Some had even sent fighters to the camp to reinforce their numbers. Among the new arrivals was a team of skilled engineers ready to help with the technology and equipment. Bonner felt the excitement in the air. The camp was buzzing with energy. He knew they needed to prepare for the battles ahead, and the new fighters would help strengthen their forces. "Let's gather everyone for a meeting," Bonner said, clapping his hands together to get attention. "We have new allies among us. Together we will be unstoppable." As the group assembled, Bonner introduced the new fighters and engineers. "These men and women bring skills that can help us win. We need to work together, share our knowledge, and prepare for the battles ahead. Every one of you has a role to play." Elara stepped forward. "We are stronger together. Each one of us brings unique skills, and together we can create a plan to attack the Empire's main base. This is our chance to show them that we will not back down." The crowd erupted in applause, spirits high. Bonner felt a surge of confidence. They were rallying, building an army that could challenge the Empire's dominance. He looked around at the faces filled with determination and knew they were ready. "Tonight we begin working on our battle plan," Bonner announced. "We will coordinate our efforts, strengthen our defenses, and prepare for an attack. We have the element of surprise, and we will use it to our advantage." Days turned into weeks as they trained and prepared. The engineers worked hard to enhance their technology. They built makeshift weapons, reinforced their vehicles, and even designed new gadgets to aid in their fight. The camp was alive with activity, a symbol of their unity and strength. During this time, Bonner made sure to connect with everyone. He learned their stories, their struggles, and their hopes. He wanted them to know that they were part of something bigger than themselves. They were fighting for their freedom, their families, and their future. One evening, as the stars shone brightly overhead, Bonner gathered everyone around the fire once more. "Look how far we have come! Each one of you has contributed to our cause. The Empire thinks we are weak, but together we are strong. Together we are unstoppable." Cheers filled the night, echoing against the walls of the camp. Bonner felt a fire ignite within him, a passion that resonated with every person gathered there. He knew they were ready to fight. As they prepared for the battles ahead, Bonner looked around at his friends, his allies, and his family. They had come together as one force, united against a common enemy. The turning point had arrived and the storm was brewing. They would face whatever challenges lay ahead, together. With the combined strength of their allies, Bonner was determined to show the Galactic Empire that humanity would not back down. They would rise and fight, and together, they would reclaim their future. The day of the final battle had arrived. The air was thick with tension as the resistance gathered at the makeshift command center. Bonner looked out over the sea of faces. His heart raced with a mix of fear and determination. They were no longer a small group of fighters. They had become an army, united against the powerful Galactic Empire. The final push began, and Bonner fought like never before. The Empire soldiers were fierce, but the resistance was fueled by their desire for freedom. The clash of weapons and the cries of battle filled the air. Bonner could see Alara fighting nearby, her skills shining as she took down enemy after enemy. In the heat of battle, Bonner faced the Empire commander, a tall figure cloaked in dark armor. They exchanged blows, the tension rising with each strike. Bonner's heart raced as he remembered his comrades' faces. He fought for them. With one final push, Bonner landed a powerful blow, sending the commander sprawling to the ground. The tide of battle shifted as the resistance saw their chance. They surged forward, overpowering the remaining Empire forces. As the dust began to settle, Bonner looked around at his friends. They had done it! They had fought against all odds and emerged victorious. Tears of joy streamed down Alara's face as she embraced Bonner. "We did it! We really did it!" The resistance erupted in cheers, a chorus of triumph echoing through the battlefield. They had faced their fears, fought for their freedom, and now stood together as victors. Bonner looked out at the horizon, knowing that this battle was only the beginning of a brighter future. In that moment, he realized that their victory was not just about winning the fight. It was about unity, hope, and the belief that even the smallest among them could make a difference. Together, they had shown the Galactic Empire that humanity would never be defeated. The aftermath of the battle was a mix of relief and sorrow. As the sun set over the horizon, casting a warm glow across the battlefield, the resistance gathered to honor their fallen comrades. Bonner stood in the center, surrounded by his friends and fellow soldiers, their faces a mix of exhaustion and determination. They had won, but the cost had been high. "Today we fought for our freedom," Bonner began, his voice strong yet filled with emotion. "We fought for each other, for every person who has suffered under the Empire's rule. But we also lost so much. We must remember those who gave their lives so that we could stand here today." Alara stepped forward, her eyes glistening with tears. Each of them was a hero. They showed us what it means to be brave. We owe it to them to carry on their legacy and build a better future. The crowd nodded in agreement, and the air was thick with shared grief and gratitude. As they gathered around a makeshift memorial, they placed photos of their fallen comrades along with flowers and personal items. Each picture told a story of courage and sacrifice. Bonner's heart ached as he looked at the faces of his friends who would never return. He felt a wave of sadness wash over him, but he also felt hope. Their sacrifice would not be in vain. Days passed, and the resistance began to rebuild. The ruins of the Empire's stronghold were transformed into a new base of operations. Bonner, Alara, and the other leaders worked tirelessly, strategizing how to bring peace and stability to the galaxy. They knew that their fight was not over. The Empire had been defeated in this battle, but there were still pockets of resistance and chaos throughout the galaxy. Bonner spent many hours reflecting on the battle and what it meant for humanity. He realized that they had shown everyone that even the smallest force could overcome great challenges. "We are the underdogs, but we have the strength to rise up," he often reminded his comrades. "Together we can make a difference." One evening, as he walked through the rebuilt camp, Bonner spotted a group of children playing near the memorial. They were laughing and running, their innocence a stark contrast to the war that had surrounded them. Bonner smiled, feeling a warmth spread through his heart. These children were the future. They would grow up knowing that freedom was worth fighting for. Alara joined him, her expression thoughtful. "It's amazing to see them so happy, isn't it?" she said, her voice soft. "After everything we've been through, they remind us why we fight. For moments like this," Bonner nodded, his heart swelling with pride. "We owe it to them to create a world where they can grow up in peace." They both watched the children play, their laughter ringing in the air like music. It was a beautiful sound, one that reminded them of the hope they were fighting for. As the weeks turned into months, Bonner and Alara worked alongside their allies from different planets. They shared knowledge and resources, forging new friendships and alliances. Together, they formed a council to ensure that no single power could ever dominate the galaxy again. This council represented all races and cultures, a symbol of unity and hope for a better future. Bonner often found himself reflecting on the battle. He thought about the friends he had lost and the sacrifices that had been made. Each memory fueled his determination to make sure their deaths meant something. He visited the memorial frequently, leaving flowers and sharing stories with the spirits of his fallen comrades. He wanted to keep their memories alive, not just in his heart, but in the hearts of everyone who fought beside him. One day, Bonner stood before the council, addressing the gathered representatives from various planets. "We have fought against tyranny, and now it is our duty to ensure that freedom reigns. We must protect those who cannot protect themselves and create a future where everyone can thrive." His words resonated with the crowd, and they erupted into applause. Bonner felt a rush of pride and hope. They were building something greater than themselves, something that would last for generations. As the council continued to grow, Bonner and Alara took part in planning educational programs for children and rebuilding efforts for the war-torn areas of the galaxy. They understood that healing would take time, but they were committed to making a difference. On the anniversary of the battle, the Resistance organized a remembrance ceremony. They lit candles and shared stories of their fallen friends, laughing and crying together. Bonner spoke again, his voice steady. "We will honor them not just with our words, but with our actions. We will build a world where love triumphs over hate, where hope replaces fear." The crowd erupted in cheers once more, their spirits high as they celebrated their victory and remembered those who had come before them. Bonner felt a deep sense of belonging and purpose. They were no longer just soldiers. They were a community, united in their vision for a better future. As the night drew to a close, Bonner looked up at the stars, twinkling brightly in the vast universe. Each star felt like a promise, a reminder that hope was always within reach. He knew that as long as they stood together, they could face any challenge. They were not just survivors, they were warriors of peace, and their journey was just beginning. Together, they would ensure that the galaxy would remember the day they stood against the Empire and emerged victorious, proving that humanity could overcome any darkness with courage and unity.